Welcome again to another episode of Cool Discussions. This is Barry. I'm Chris. And today we are going to talk.
We're going to talk entertainment.
Yeah, we are. So I'm going to start this off by going, okay, we did actually have an entire episode of The Walking Dead.
Yes,
now,
we did.
did you watch?
Absolutely, yeah. I've watched the new seasons, yeah.
Okay, so the new season has started, and what did you think of the episode?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The first episode was good. The second episode I wasn't too fond of.
I remember, let's see, I'm trying to remember here.
Jesus was the second episode.
I thought it was decent. It was good. It still developed a story. I'm happy with where we're going so far.
See, whereas I didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was.
I thought the Valentine's Day Massacre one, it didn't kill as many people as I thought it was going to kill. There's a lot of zombies that died, but not people. So, the second episode was... Jesus showed up, and it's like, I didn't like him. It's like...
we haven't really learned anything about him, and I know the comic.
Yeah.
And he's a very big part of the comic, I think.
Oh, is he?
I think so, yeah. I think where he, like, his story arc and what he has is, and I think we're going to find out a little bit more in this episode, or this coming episode. Is he a good guy? Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh, okay. So he actually gets along with Rick and his crew?
Yes.
Okay, so now Negan has been teased for this whole thing, and I've been reading that Negan
We won't see him till the end of this season, though.
Yes, they actually said he's going to pretty much show up at the last episode. Now, apparently he's a potty mouth.
He is, yeah.
He says a lot of bad words.
Motherfucker, fuck, that's him.
Okay, so right there, that would have gotten us an R rating in most movie
Probably
places.
all movies.
Yeah, because the F word apparently is a R-rated material. Now, what I read was the producers would like to keep Negan's potty mouth intact for...
Because it's part of his character.
Yeah, it is part of his character.
And I agree, 100%. If it adds... If it adds to the show and it adds to the development of his character, why can't you say the word fuck? It's just a word.
No, true. So I'm not going to argue that. But what the producer was saying is because it's on cable television, they have to abide by certain rules.
Stupid.
Now, what they are going to do is they're going to record basically two versions. One...
An edited version and one a non-edited version.
Right.
I think, right?
They're going to try to get away with as much as they can on cable television. Because it is The Walking Dead. It's a big deal. People watch it, so they'll know they'll get ratings. Now, whether or not they can get away with it. So...
Somebody's going to get butthurt, though.
Yeah. Now, the version that doesn't make it on TV, they're going to put on DVD. Which, along with deleted scenes, show up on DVDs all the time. And can be a really great thing. What do you think? Do you think our ratings are worth?
No, I don't think. I think it's up to me as a person, I'm a parent, obviously, so it's up to me as a parent to regulate what my child sees, hears, and stuff like that. To me, the word like shit is just a word. Mm-hmm. I don't look at that as a bad word. The word fuck is not a bad word. Obviously, there are ways that it can be used that make it a little bit derogatory, but there's any words that could be used in derogatory ways and stuff like that.
Very true.
So to me, like, I've sworn around my child. I've said fuck. I've said shit around my child, and it's like, to me, I don't see an issue with that. I'm not like, oh, you motherfucking piece of shit. It's like. You say it like there's going to be no way it comes across good.
You use a swear word to punctuate something to make it important, whereas some people just use the F word and every other as part of every other word in their vocabulary.
I'm watching a hockey game and somebody scores on my team. Fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I think it's up to like my son, my oldest. He's 6. He doesn't watch The Walking Dead. Because he doesn't like it. It scares him. If he was able to, it's up to me if I let him watch it or not. Like, it's up to me to tell him that's just simulated violence, it's television violence, it's not, there's nobody really getting hurt. Yeah. So if he was like, "Hey, Dad, could I watch some of this?" I would be like, "Surely you can check it out."
Yeah.
But you have to understand what this is. But he doesn't like it because it's scary.
Yeah, when you have younger people watch things that have violence in it, you might have to actually explain certain things. I remember watching a movie, and my daughters were there, and they're like, "What is that guy doing to that girl?" And I'm like, well, he's trying to kill her. And he's like, "Well, that's not a very good thing." It's like, no, this is why this is a movie. This is simulated. They're not actually doing that.
It's not real. Like, it's not,
and
yeah.
This is a horrible thing to have happen in real life. And then me and my kids actually had a little discussion about
that's exactly
real worldness.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're like, okay, we don't like it, but it's part of the movie, so it's okay to watch. I'm like, well, if you don't want to watch it...
Yeah, you don't have to watch it.
We can stop.
Yeah.
We can watch something else. They're like, no, we get it. And it's like, so... You have to have dialogue with kids in general.
It's good to have...
Adults, well...
It's good to have the rating on there so you know what to expect going in. But I think I should be able to... If my kid is 12 and he has a little bit more maturity than some other... I should be able to take him to an R-rated movie because he understands that. Because I've brought him up and I haven't sheltered him from put him in a bubble saying, "Hey, don't watch these scary things." You know what I mean? It's like this is what's on television. They're gonna go on YouTube, on their telephones or anywhere. They're gonna find that stuff. You can find death on YouTube, no problem. And it's
that's true.
Why don't we do exactly what you were going to say? Open a dialogue. Have a dialogue with somebody.
This is actually... okay, so they want to keep the R rating in it, and it's like, okay, that's fine and understandable. Now, with Deadpool the movie, because it's been such a huge success, and it's an R-rated movie. Now, I've seen it.
But I've heard of that. It's people took their kids to it and weren't expecting it to be...
In Alberta... which is really weird. It's 14A. Now, in the rest of the country in the States, it's R-rated. So R-rated
is 18,
is 17. R-rated is 17 or older.
Which is weird. Because
14A just means you can be 14, but you have to have an adult. Now, a buddy of mine, he went to go see it on opening day, and there were two kids there. Younger ones, probably like 10 to 12. One... with a mother, one with a father. Now, the father obviously was trying to be the cool dad and go, hey, you know what, you can see. The mother walked out. She took her kid and walked out during the first...
Was it that bad? Was it gory or was it...
minutes. Okay. There was some gore in it. Now, because of what he does in that movie, you expect to see gore. Now, in the movie, the second Wolverine movie... when Wolverine was attacking the Yakuza and he's just hacking and slashing away, there was no blood, right? So for the theatrical release, there was no blood, so they avoided that R rating. Now, when it came out on DVD, they actually put an R-rated version, one with deleted scenes and one other one, or the theatrical release. Now, the R-rated one added blood. When you stab somebody and your claws go right through out to the back and the claws come out, there's no blood. Okay, whatever. Thanks, Disney. Now, in the R-rated one, there was blood. So it was like, okay, cool, that's the way it's supposed to be. But I didn't find that you needed to throw that R in there. Deadpool, the R didn't come from the gore.
Oh.
At least in my opinion, the R should not have come from the gore. Because, okay, there was some sword play. There was actually, I guess it could have come from one part of gore because it was really funny. I'm not going to give it away. It was funny, hilarious.
So what was the R from then?
The R was from sex.
I can. Sex in it? I wouldn't.
I'm not gonna ruin most of it. What it was is okay. So, the lady that left the theater left during the montage of when the main character Ryan Reynolds and his then girlfriend were having a year-long sex session. So they had a montage, and so basically every holiday season that came up, they showed them in a different way of doing sex.
Was it like hardcore porn?
No, it wasn't hardcore, but like you see Ryan Reynolds pretty much naked, no penis. Yeah, no penis, but you see his bum, the rest of his body. So for the ladies out there,
I think that's where I kind of maybe fall a little bit different than other people. Like I don't see like an issue with stuff like that. I don't see what's the problem with the human body.
Hold on. My kids, personally, I think are just a little too... Okay, one, yeah, she's hit that point where it needs to be talked about. But the other one, I think it's just... I don't think she cares.
How old are they again?
13 and 10.
Okay.
So
at what age does that become appropriate? Like,
but
what
okay,
age
but that's going to change from child to child.
That's what I mean. Like, so...
Like, I know our father introduced us to pornography at a very young age. For us, it was really different. But, you know, the lady leaves the theater, the father becomes really uncomfortable, and it's just like, well...
I could see it being uncomfortable. I could definitely see you sitting there with your children watching... Like,
the one specific scene was just kind of like, whoa. Me and the missus, it was so funny. It was great. I don't want to spoil it because it is so funny and great. But you could tell that there was some uncomfortability there. So, personally, I don't think the R rating came from the gore.
So it was from the sex. Okay.
I think it came from that.
Yeah.
You know, that whole montage, because look, there's almost nudity. Like, there is nudity in the movie.
Almost nudity?
Is there any
tits?
There are, but later on. But between the two main characters, there's enough nakedness that really all it was is a well-covered hand that covered the nakedness that made it so, you know, you could get away without having...
But you can go to a beach.
Yeah, that's very true. And there was another part of the movie. It's like, you know, they could have gotten away with showing some more breast, but it was completely and totally unnecessary. So they put a well-placed hand on the screen, and they made a joke about it, which was really great. Again, I think it was just from that little bit of sex that it got its R rating.
Yeah.
Now, it was a successful movie, not because it was R rated, because it was...
Well, it was a well-known comic, right?
It was Deadpool. Yeah. Like, that whole movie...
So they just threw sex in there just to...
No,
is there sex in the comic?
I've never
read the comic,
okay, sex... They can't really have sex in the comics because it's... the comics are supposed to be G or PG-13. So they couldn't have done that in the comics. However, in the comics you do get the occasional, like... tight shot of a partially, like of a nude body, but like only from here down.
Yeah.
So you get that in comics, but in the movie you can do a little bit more. And in the comics, Deadpool is definitely raunchy when it comes to talking. And there was, honestly, I don't remember if there was if he dropped any F-bombs, but there was definitely vulgar language, but it was definitely that one little area of sex. Now, because how Deadpool is done in the theaters is like, you know, the companies, movie companies are going, oh, R ratings in, oh, we gotta R rate everything. Now, within a couple of days, Wolverine 3 said, oh, we're gonna be an R rated movie. And then they had to clarify, well, we're not an R rated movie because of Deadpool. We were planning on doing an R rating version of our movie before.
I don't know, I'm just kind of like, I look at it differently. I think, like, I don't think that we should be, obviously you have to be responsible with what your children or what people see.
Yeah.
But, at what age does it become appropriate for somebody to go see that movie? Like, at 14, somebody, you know, like, could be...
When I was 14, this movie still wouldn't be a problem. For my girls, I think the sex would completely and totally make them too uncomfortable to be able to enjoy the rest of the movie. They would just be so...
So now, why would they be uncomfortable? Is it because they're with their father? Would they be uncomfortable with friends? Would they be uncomfortable with...
I think just sex in general right at the moment.
Right. Okay.
At the moment. Now, in a couple of years, it might not be...
So at what age does, like...
Again,
that's the thing. Like
remember, for us, we were introduced to hardcore sex really early.
Yeah.
So it was like sex has never been an uncomfortable thing for us.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we have to only draw from our kids. But Have you had the sex talks with your kids?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But the thing was, like, I found that their sex talk was real. Crap. My youngest was 7, and the whole school had an assembly, and they talked. Penis goes inside the vagina. In fact, I phoned them one day, and my youngest came on the phone, and instead of saying hi, she said, "Penis goes inside the vagina." Oh. And then the mom grabbed the phone and was like, "Oh, I got to explain that one." It's like, yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Because apparently the school taught them this stuff so they can recognize statutory rape. So being molested as a kid. Because if you don't explain what molestation is to a kid, they're not going to know. Because some creep can just say it's exercise.
Ooh, man, I would fucking murder somebody if they did something to my kids. Oh my god.
True enough. So, an R rating is subjective. Personally,
it is. It's very subjective.
The Matrix, the second Matrix movie, it had an R rating. Definitely wasn't from violence. I think it just had to do with one sex scene because they had a sex scene in it. The two were smushed together, and they basically videotaped it, and you could see bare bum and then rolling around and like side boob.
That's not a sex scene. That's nothing. That's just butts and side boob.
Yeah,
you see that in like a magazine cover on the newsstand.
In the States, that gets an R rating really quick.
I know.
In Canada, that doesn't get an R rating really quick. But most of the time, we just take whatever the rating is in the States and apply it to Canada.
I think if I went and saw, like, if I took my kid to see Deadpool and it turned out something like that, I would just probably laugh and be like, whoops.
No, okay.
And then my kid would probably be like, Dad, what's going on?
I would, honestly, I would give my kids the option to go see Deadpool. I would take them if they wanted to go.
Yeah.
I would feel uncomfortable for about 10 seconds during one part.
Yeah.
Because that
one
part is going to require so much explaining about human sexuality.
I don't think I would feel uncomfortable at all. I would just.
No. With your kid?
No, I don't think so at all. I think.
No, you would have to explain something to Hayden.
Well, definitely, but I wouldn't be uncomfortable. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, if he asks questions, I would be totally 100% willing to have a back and forth conversation at any age.
No.
You know what I mean? Because it's like. They're going to see it on television. They're going to accidentally...
No, they're not going to see that.
Well, not that kind of stuff, but they're going to see simulated sex and simulated violence. They're going to see it on TV or on the internet or anything like that. So, like, when your kid's in school, what are they looking up on the internet? You don't know if they have access to it and stuff like that. Like,
the kids nowadays have so much easier access to sexuality than any other time in human history.
You know how hard it was when I was younger to get porn? Oh, my goodness. You had to steal your dad's videotape. VHS now, I can just...
Or you had to be lucky and come across somebody dumping magazines and flipping through them and going, hey, look, there's a Playboy. Woo!
Yeah, hey, the pages aren't stuck together. I can look at this one. You know what I mean? And now it's just so like, I think we need to grow as a society. I'm not telling you, don't let your kid watch hardcore porn, obviously, because that's not
the same as sexuality.
Hardcore porn is nothing like
real sex.
Nothing. Zero. So if you see it, don't expect a woman to be doing that kind of stuff. Don't treat a woman like that. Don't do stuff like that. Do not.
Remember, these women get paid to do this. They do it willingly.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, they would have to do it willingly, but this is what they get paid to do. When you're having sex with a woman, unless it's a prostitute...
I wish, honestly, I wish that, like, I wish kind of, like, I guess I wish I was told that when you watch porn, right? You watch porn, you're like, God damn, I want to do that. And then you do it, and you're like, but, it's like, but what? It's not like that.
No.
At all. You know, when you do it for the first time, it's like, and you see porn, and you do it for you're like, but, what?
Porn? You shouldn't be allowed to watch porn until after you've had sex.
Yeah. And if you do, you should have, like, explain it. Like, you'd be like, hey, son, this is nothing like that. Trust me.
Yes, yeah.
It's nothing like that, son. Don't expect this woman to be like this, or, honey, to your daughters, don't expect the dude to be fucking Mr. Elephant Man.
12-inch.
You know, like... It just, I think it all becomes like this whole thing is about conversations. It's about, to me, I don't think, obviously there is I'm not going to get into huge details with my 6-year-old about violence and sex and stuff like that, but there are basic questions you can answer. There are, you can get the conversation started at a very young age.
Talk to them when they're young.
Yeah.
Keep talking to them. Even when they don't want to talk to you, you can still go, well, I'm here if you ever want to ask a question. Because, oh my gosh.
You see so many parents, like, they bubble their child and they say, that doesn't exist. And it's like, well, it does. The violence exists. This kind of stuff happens. Like, when you watch a war movie, like a Zero Dark 30, based on something, that stuff really happens. People get shot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one, so...
when you watch all these war movies, and when you watch stuff like that, this stuff happens. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And
I think
be prepared to give your child, maybe not necessarily a full truth, but don't lie to them either. If somebody gets shot in a war movie, it's like, well, does that happen? Yeah, that does. And what happens? They tend to die.
Yeah.
You don't sugarcoat them. It's like, oh... the soldiers are protected, blah, blah. It's like, no. Soldiers die.
You get shot. You
get shot, and then you can explain that, they don't always die.
Because I've heard, like, people are mad about this whole Deadpool thing. Like, I've seen some negative things come out of it, and it's like, well...
Because they're like, you shouldn't take your child. It's like, well, yeah, the R rating is there for a reason. If you're trying to be that cool dad that was in the theater... Well, that's good, but maybe you should have did a little bit of research.
Just think about what you let your kid watch at home. Would you let your kid watch that type of an R-rated movie at home?
I would let my kids watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I would. If
my kid's
6, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. Excessive violence. The violence, I don't think, is that big of a deal. It's the sexuality that is.
I think it just makes it awkward, because I think it's very awkward for parents to have a conversation with their children about sex, because you don't want to think about your kids doing that kind of thing. So it makes it very awkward, and it makes it very just weird. Like, it's like,
well, you should have that conversation with them when they're young instead of 16 and pregnant.
Yeah, because you think about it. When you think about your parents, you're like, you don't think about that. You're like, no.
My parents didn't have sex.
No, never. And then you realize, you're 35, and you're like, oh my god.
My parents had sex.
My parents had sex. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, so that's probably what makes it awkward. It's like...
An R rating is subjective. Find out what you can about the movie and why it got that R rating, and then make a decision from there.
If you're thinking of taking your 14, 15-year-old kid to this movie...
They might love it. However, if they've never seen simulated sex, and if you've never had a talk about it,
it's going to be very awkward.
Not only is it going to be awkward, but they're going to be looking at you going, what was that?
Yeah.
And you're going to have to go,
well, here we go. I thought the complaint was about violence. I didn't realize it was about,
now, okay, the R rating could be about violence. Like,
was it worse than Walking Dead violence or more than Walking Dead violence? Because Walking Dead violence is pretty cool.
I think it's okay. Because in The Walking Dead, when you kill a zombie, it's already dead, and brains, they already look bad.
There's some death of, like, chopping the head off of Herschel. And
yeah,
stuff like that. Like, that was
true. So there are like little violent parts now. In Deadpool, like, there are a couple of, like, oh my gosh, did he just do that? That was okay. One part I can give away that doesn't, like, the main villain. He grabs Deadpool, and just after their first fight, and he hits him on the ground. He grabs a piece of rebar and just jams it through his chest.
Through Deadpool's chest?
Through Deadpool's chest. Like, pops right out.
Nice.
And it's like, okay, that happens in The Walking Dead. That's not a big deal. And there's blood. Well, it happens in The Walking Dead. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So that, isn't a huge problem. But there's one other scene where, he's doing something, and it's just like, okay, I get it, but the movie that he references, I don't think received an R rating, and the same thing happened.
I think if you were putting the violence or sex in to help the story, if it's part of the story,
the sex is part of the story. Then it helps you understand why these two are star-crossed lovers.
You could probably
It's
not even put like
great.
simulated sex in any movie, really, because it's really pointless. It really is when you think about it.
Yeah, you could do it off camera.
Yeah, you could just insinuate that it was happening, but
okay,
as long as it tells a story.
I think if you take this particular sex montage out, you wouldn't have understood why those two had such a connection. Because of everything that goes on sexually, it kind of explains a whole relationship. But they could have done it a different way, obviously. There's always different ways you can do montage relationship bits. Fine. This one worked. There's just one part that, if you have a child with you, it's going to make you uncomfortable.
Well,
They're not going to get it. And you will... Well, you could avoid the question, but then the child will probably just try to look it up themselves, and then you're going to have a whole can of worms.
I just think, like I said, if it tells a story, the violence and stuff tells the story, then I'm okay with it.
And all the violence, I think personally, in the movie is well done. It's well played. It's not...
But if it's just like Jason X...
Oh,
where it's
gore
just,
for
here's
gore?
titties and here's gore, and it's like, okay, well, that's... What's the point of that? Get rid
True.
of that shit.
No, Deadpool, as an R-rated movie, I kind of understand it, but really, it's up to you as a parent. R ratings in other movies, is it because Deadpool's popular? Maybe.
I'm okay, like, take your kid to see whatever you feel, but just make sure that you understand what, like, our rating system, really, I guess. You know?
True,
like,
yeah.
If you want to take your kid to an R-rated movie, just be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared.
You can see whatever. You can see tons of stuff.
Yep.
You know? Be sure to like us.
Comment, especially if you have something to say.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what your thoughts are on Deadpool, specifically if you want. The Walking Dead.
Deadpool, Walking Dead,
The
R
R
ratings, sex, and
Do you let your
violence?
kids watch R-rated movies even though they're under 18? Do you, like, what do you, it's weird how, like, you can go from a, like, oh, you're 17, you can't watch this movie. Oh, you're 18? Okay, you're fine. Even though it's like one day difference from your birthday to the day before.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, all of a sudden, you're more mature.
Yeah, it is subjective. It
Very.
really is. So,
Just let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Comment.
like, follow, subscribe.
Oh, that's
Listen to us on
Facebook.
iTunes, Facebook, YouTube.
Cool discussions. All that good stuff, guys. Thanks for giving us some of your time. We really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to listen to us ramble.
Yep.
And we'll see you again another time.
Thank you.